Alright folks, welcome back to CB Rebuilds. It's been a couple of days since we sprayed this with the bed liner, and it's all cured up enough to start reassembly. We're still not going to put like the heavy items like the hard top on or any of the items that we really have to screw on, but like the rear tire carrier here, we won't put a tire on it, but we'll get it mounted up, and that should be a nice way to kind of get this project to completion. We need to get all the components on, get it cleaned up, and then get this back on the road. So we're going to work on putting this back together. I got all the stuff pretty much laid out, so I'll just go through and get it all put back together the best that I can. Alright folks, you can see there isn't too much to do. I got a couple more trim pieces for the hinges, but they're buried underneath some other stuff, so we're going to wait on those. Move around, maybe try to find something else to assemble pretty quickly. Alright folks, so went around the Jeep installing the weather seals on all the doors and just kind of snapping little pieces on. It doesn't take very long to put the Jeep back together. Got all the trim back in, the seat belts and all the stuff that you had to take apart to get the trim out. So that's all done, but I've got to assemble this door. So you guys have been with me before. We jammed this door out, we sprayed it, and when I sprayed it before, I left the old latch in that came with the black door, but now I'm going to put the latch and mechanisms back in that go with the blue Jeep. So this time, I got to snap in everything because this door was beat in pretty good and there's a lot of broken plastic, so I had to get a new window regulator, I had to get a new latch assembly bracket that holds it all together, and we had to put the door latch and the lock from the original Jeep back together. So I already stuck the lock back in. It's pretty easy to do. You just kind of slide it back in. There's a little metal C-clip that slides in that holds the lock on, but I'm going to go ahead and start putting this latch assembly back in and try to get this whole door assembled, and you guys can watch over my shoulder. One thing you're going to want to remember when you're putting this door back together is that you want to install all of your wire harness. So this door only has a wire harness for the lock position to make sure the lock is locked or unlocked. So we're going to make sure we put that back in, and it goes kind of through the door panel here, and then it gets set obviously inside the door and clips onto the latch that we just installed. So we want to make sure we have that installed before we try to put the latch in. And here we've got the check strap bracket as well that needs to be put on. It was taken off some time ago. So we'll get this in here, get it kind of routed through the hooks that it goes in. Right there. Somewhere like that. Alright, now that we've got the window or the door latch installed, we've got that bolted up. We got the bolt through here. It's an 8mm into the back of the handle, and then we get the Torx that go into the latch in. We've got that done. We've got the window channel in here, and we've got the nut loosely installed. Next, we're going to put in the window channel. So the window channel is what the window actually rides on, going up and down inside the window. So we're going to get this kind of installed where it goes, roughly, and then we can start pressing it on. Place, and we're going to leave the back out right now because if I remember, when you take the window out, it makes it easier if you have one of them undone, and this one's easy enough to kind of push back in later on. But I think for right now I might try it with it in, and if I have to, I'll pull that one out because again it's shorter and it's easier to get installed at the end if we need to do that. So we've got the track in, got seated where it goes. Doesn't hurt to get the outside set right now too. It'll make the job easier later on. Just gonna swing that out, make sure it's in the right spot or very close. So we've got that. Next I'll grab the window. Alright folks, well after you put the glass in, you want to make sure this piece is on the bottom of the window, and what that does is that latches into the window regulator. Without that, the window is just going to chatter around, and it has the possibility of falling out if you're on the road. It'll fall off the latch if you hit a big bump, and then the glass will go in the bottom of the door and could break. So I'm going to try to do something a little bit different this time. I'm going to try to slide this up, grab a different style of bar to get that latch bracket engaged. So I'm going to slide the window up and put some tape to hold it in the up position so it doesn't fall down. It doesn't take much. There's a lot of friction from the channel, so that's good to hold up the window. And we just need it to hold up a little bit here while we get this door panel set, or the window regulator. We've also got the window regulator all the way down to make it as easy as possible to get this to slide in. So slide the cables back in. I didn't unplug it this time. Slide the door panel in, back up, get it close to in position. Grab a flat bar. Let's see if we can do it with this one. I'm not going to be able to do it. I think I'm going to try to pick this up with a screwdriver this time. Might work. Let's take my screwdriver, slide it through, put just a little bit of pressure on it while I'm trying to slide it together. So that definitely worked a little easier, and it works out since we've got so much going on with the window already in here. Now I can put all the bolts back in to hold the window regulator in. We're just going to leave them loose until we get the window snapped into the bottom. We've got the window track also loose as well. One thing I like to do to try to keep all my fasteners straight is when I take something apart, I try to put a baggie together with all of the screws that go with that area. It just makes it easier to grab the baggie later, and I may not remember exactly where every fastener goes, but if I know it goes with this part of the project, I'm usually pretty good at remembering where the screws go after looking at the parts for a few minutes. Alright, so we got all the bolts started. We're going to take the tape loose, and we put the window regulator at the bottom so we can slide the window down quite a ways and try to get this lined up. And there you can hear the two clicks, and that means that the window is engaged into the window regulator. So I'm just going to grab my ratchet and tighten up these, all these bolts right now to keep this assembly together. So since we've got these all latched and we know the window's in there, we're going to go ahead and put the last grommet in here. I should have put that on earlier. That's for the door latch bracket and the door handle when you go to put those together. So we've got the window in, we've got the channel in. Now we need to put the window sweeps in. The inside one's really important because it holds your door panel on when you go to put it in. So let's go ahead and slide it in here. It just slots in, but it gives us another slot on the top here to grab the window or grab the door panel when we're putting that in. And then the outside one just slides in as well. This slides in, it grabs onto the bottom of the window frame so it doesn't come off. So we've got that in place. So we've got both window sweeps in. Since this is a manual window, I just grab the handle again and test that it works. So that does work really well. We've got the window up now, and we just need to clip our wire on and get our footman loop that holds the door catch on as well. We'll put those two bolts through, get them started. And then we gotta get our Torx for that. So it's the same Torx that puts the door latch on, which is a T30. Now we've got that on. And the last thing we need to do is get the door panel on and put the screws in. There's one screw that goes through the handle that holds the grab handle inside, so when you pull the door shut it doesn't come loose. And I think we're going to be in really good shape. We also need to put the door handle on, so we'll make sure we get that put on. We don't want to forget that, or we won't be able to pop the door loose. So I did have an extra bolt because like I said, I took two doors apart, so I kind of threw all the parts together just to make sure I had enough. But I need to take this bolt out and replace it with a Torx that goes through the door handle. So they're the exact same thread pattern, and they're the T30 Torx, but I just need to grab that and switch it out. So I got the two cables ran. Blue is the latch, and then the brown or the green one, depending on what version you have, is the lock mechanism. So get those set in there. You grab the door handle, put it into squares, and you slide it back. That lines up to the T30 then, so you can start threading that in, and we'll run it down as soon as we put it in forward. Alright, so we got that done. I can hear the lock mechanism actuating, and the door latch is working. If we really want to test it, we can take our handle, put the window down, put the window down, and now we can I'll flip it to lock. I'm hitting the handle outside and the door is not releasing, so if I unlock it, the door unlatches, and then also if I pull the lever on the inside, the door unlatches. So we've got those pieces in. The last piece is the trim pieces that make the Jeep door look real pretty. So we got this. Just kind of grab that and slide the handle through. And we want to make sure we set the top of it in that groove in the window sweep that I talked about earlier. If you remember the correct order, if you do this in a little more timely manner than I had, I kind of forgot how everything went together. That's my mistake, because I I disassembled this door a long time ago, and then I had to wait on parts to get this completed. So if you do it a little more timely, you can remember the order. So I had to take that screw back out just to slide the handle into the door panel. Got it all set. Now I can bring the Torx back in and set the Torx in the handle. And put it back and tighten. We've got that, and now we're just left with a few screws. They go around the door. We got that. When we're going to put the door latch or the door crank on, we got to make sure the clip is engaged. To take it off, it's just the opposite. If you can get a pick underneath there and pop it off, it comes off really nice. And before we do all that, we got to put this little trim ring on. Just trims out the door just a little bit better. So I'll put that on the handle. We'll slide it all together. We'll check the functionality. It goes up nice. And to complete the door, we get this little trim piece. And we snap it in. And that's it. This little panel, we've got it laying around. I just got to go grab it from somewhere else, but that is just a trim decorative panel. So now we've got a working window and a fully assembled door. We've got our trim piece. Get started on the top and bottom, and then it just snaps in. There's not too much to it, just decorative piece there. So now we have a fully assembled door. It's locked, so if I go and unlock it, now I can get in and out with the correct lock cylinder in there too. I can run the lock from the outside, so I can get it in right now and test the lock. Now the lock is in, the door is locked, so we've got all functionality. Well, stock Jeep door now. My wife did remind me there was one more component to install. It is the door seal. So what we need to do is kind of get it lined up the way it goes. Good indicator is this square corner on the back. It's a nice place to kind of line yourself up. And then what I find works really well is if you kind of roll the front edge in and then kind of chase it along with your finger, you can get it to set down in the groove where it sits. So you got to set the back edge, which is why I kind of roll it up, set the back edge, and then push it in with my finger, chasing it around. There are a couple of clips, so you got to make sure you get those pushed in. Those are at the areas where the seal has to be seated in the right orientation. So we got that's looking pretty good. We got all the way around there. The back has a nice little square indicator too that has to be lined up, so we'll get that lined in. We get the top edge set, come right here to the front, and this is where, if you remember to do it earlier, it's a little easier, but if you take the door catch strap off, that way you can get the seal to feed through. Take this catch strap off and feed it back through. We make sure our clips are set, and we keep feeding the seal in. Now that it's on the inside in the right spot, we'll go ahead and put this on. It just makes it a little easier if the door's not, if you're not chasing the door all over. Let's plug this back in as well. Again, all this wire does is indicates if the door is open or not to turn the dome light on. We got that. Keep chasing the seal around here. One little thing, if you do take all the seals off like I had, there are little indicators. Right here, this little clip is like a blue color to indicate the left side. and the right hand side has red clips on it. So if you have all the door seals off, it's not such a big deal because you can indicate by what color those clips are, and then also the shape. The front and rear doors are a different shape because they don't have this front sweep for the rear doors. So get these clipped in, get the seal pressed in here the rest of the way, and we're gonna be complete with this job. So like I was saying, if you guys can see the dash, when I open this door, now the door indicator comes on, and that's how the dome light comes on. That's how the Jeep knows that the door is ajar. And so when you take your doors off, you take this strap loose and then you unplug this connector. And when you do that, it doesn't think the doors are open. So that's how it tells that the doors are open. So we get that plugged in. Now it says the door's ajar. Close it up. Indicator goes off. So the door's closed. All right, folks. So we got the mirror on. We got all the door put together. When we close it, we're still missing a little bit of trim right here. That is the A-pillar trim. We need to get the glass replaced. Obviously, it's got a lot of cracks in it. So we're going to get the front windshield replaced. And the first thing the glass installation guys do is take the A-pillar trim off. So we're just going to save them a step when they're here, just to make it easier to replace the windshield. That's going to wrap up this video. In the next video, we'll have a new windshield in the Jeep. We'll put the fender flares on. We'll be doing stock replacements. We're not going to have any off-road flares on this particular Jeep. And we'll place the top on and get it all buttoned up. Even probably go so far as to detail the inside. It got a little dusty during the work process, sanding process. So we'll do a dressing on all of the plastic, sweep out the interior, have it looking real clean before we hand it back to the owner. So that's going to conclude this episode of CB Rebuilds. Stay tuned. We'll get this thing wrapped up and we'll give you a full walk around outside so you can see how the bed liner looks on the exterior of the vehicle. So if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button and share it if you think other people would enjoy it. Thanks for watching.